Clara, I said, holding up my phone. Why is there a $4,000 cash withdrawal from our joint account? She didn't look up from her wine. What? I spun the phone toward her. Last Friday. 2 separate ATM hits. Both maxed. Her eyes flicked over the screen. She blinked, then shrugged. I told you the bank's been screwing up our statements. I already called them. It's some kind of system glitch. No, I said flatly. This isn't a glitch. These came from your card. PIN verified. 2 different casinos. That made her blink. Just for a second. Then came the deflection. Jesus, Ethan, do you think I'm running around blowing our money on blackjack? You tell me. She laughed. Hollow, forced. You're unbelievable. You think I'm some degenerate now? I didn't answer. I just turned, walked to the counter, and laid out the ATM receipts I pulled from the trash an hour earlier. Still smelled like stale coffee and perfume. Clara stared. You want to explain how these ended up under the sink? Both from Grand Meridian. That's not your book club's wine bar. For the first time in months, she didn't have a comeback ready. Just silence. I leaned in. Who gave you the invite? Her lips parted. It was just a one-time thing. Jessica's husband, he knows the host. It was a stupid girls' night. I had too much to drink. I got talked into a few rounds. For $1,000, Clara. I was up at first, then she stopped herself. It wasn't like I'm into it. Clara. My voice cracked sharper than I meant. She set her glass down. I'll pay it back. With what? I asked. Your part-time yoga schedule? Her expression twisted. I stepped back, grabbed my coat. I'm not stupid. And this isn't going away. Where are you going? I opened the door. To get some air. And maybe figure out where my wife's been every Thursday night for the last 2 months. I didn't slam the door. I closed it. Slowly. The way you close a lid on something you know is about to rot. Thursday came, and Clara left the house at 6:42 p.m. sharp. Same excuse as last week. Same perfume too, heavier this time. Something expensive. Something new. I'm meeting Jess and the girls, she said. Wine, poker, harmless fun. Don't wait up. You'll just be bored. I nodded. Didn't kiss her. Didn't ask which Jess she meant. We didn't know a Jess, not one in any of her stories that wasn't a placeholder. What I did do was grab my keys 5 minutes after she pulled away. I stayed 3 cars back the entire ride. She never once looked in her rear view. That stung more than it should have. She wasn't heading toward her friend's loft downtown. She curved through Eastfield, past a strip of luxury condos, and finally into a private valet entrance tucked behind the Avalon Club. If you've never heard of Avalon, you don't gamble. It's not on Yelp. No flashy neon. Just a brushed metal sign, no windows, and security you don't find unless you're supposed to. Avalon doesn't cater to the masses. It caters to men who bet houses and bring girls they didn't walk in with. I parked down the block, waited, watched her step out. She wore a red dress with a thigh slit so high it should have had a warning label. She'd curled her hair. Different lipstick. No wedding ring. She handed the valet her clutch and didn't even look back. Then he appeared. Suit, sharp. Hands in pockets like he owned the sidewalk. Mid-40s. Olive-toned, chiseled jaw, smile too white to be honest. She kissed him on the cheek. Not a friend kiss. Not a my husband knows I am here kiss. They walked in arm like it wasn't their first night out. It wasn't. I waited 30 minutes. Then approached the valet. Hey, I forgot my guest card, I said, slipping him a crisp 100. My wife's already inside. She's in the private poker suite. Name's Clara Bishop. Could you let her know I'm here? He stared at the bill, then back at me. We don't have poker suites, sir. She's here every week. Then she's not playing poker, he said. He pocketed the cash. Sorry, sir. Avalon doesn't allow drop-ins. Even for husbands? His mouth pulled into a smile. Depends on the husband. I left. I circled around back, waited in the alley across from the fire exit. Around 11:30, the door cracked open. She came out laughing. Drunk laughing. Clutching the suit guy's jacket. They were joined by another man this time, bald, stocky, older. She kissed both on the cheek before the second guy handed her a small envelope. Cash? Chips? Coke? She tucked it into her purse and got into a black car that wasn't hers. She didn't even look back. When she got home at 2:14 a.m., I pretended to be asleep. She slipped into the bathroom, turned on the fan. I heard the water run. A long time. She crawled into bed smelling like vodka, Baccarat Rouge, and sex. Not mine. She sighed when her head hit the pillow. That satisfied, loose kind of exhale you can't fake. And I just watched her through half-closed eyes, her back to me, like I was the stranger in our own bed. My wife was running with high rollers. But she forgot something critical. House always wins. The next morning, Clara was already dressed when I came downstairs. Hair curled again. Smooth dress shirt tucked into high-rise jeans. Not quite cocktail attire, but not a woman running errands either. I have brunch with Jess and Maddie, she said, sipping coffee, not meeting my eyes. Sure, I said. Say hi to your poker coach while you're at it. She blinked. Excuse me. I just smiled and walked past her. No point yet. That day, I drove to Avalon in daylight. Parked 3 blocks down. I wasn't going inside this time. I didn't need to. I had names now. One of the men I saw her with, the one with the Rolex and $1,000 grin, his face had stuck with me. I'd screenshot him on my dash cam the night before and spent an hour reverse searching it. His name was Marcus Delroy, owner of 3 private clinics and a strip of nightclubs across the East Coast. Divorced. No kids. Known for throwing poker parties where the buy-in is 10 grand, and the favors after midnight aren't paid in chips. The second guy? Leon Halvorsen. Retired defense contractor. Rich enough to buy a yacht and sink it on purpose. Both were Avalon members. Both were connected to a private list I found circulating on a closed poker forum that I paid $500 to access. Took me 3 logins and a throwaway PayPal. But it was there. They called it the rotation. It wasn't just poker. It was a pipeline. Women with debts, or unlocked potential as the creeps phrased it, were staked, dressed, photographed, and paired with high-paying members who preferred experienced amateurs. Each woman had a profile. And there she was. Clara B. Verified Playmate. 28 wins. 15 meets. Current tier, Platinum. Sponsored by MD and LH. Status, active. My stomach dropped. Photos. Some blurry. Some not. One showed her in that same red dress. Smiling. Bent over chips. Another had her sipping champagne on a white leather couch, a man's hand gripping her thigh. And the final one. Naked from the waist up, blurred face, but I'd know that scar on her hip anywhere. From a bicycle crash in '09. She used to joke it made her look tough. Now it made me want to put my fist through glass. I printed everything. Every receipt, every photo, every comment. Then I bought a new SIM card and texted the worst photo to my work phone from an anonymous number. Just to feel what it was like. To be the one sending the blow instead of taking it. Felt cold. Felt good. That night, Clara came home with a bottle of wine and sushi like nothing had changed. You okay? She asked sweetly. You've been quiet. I looked her dead in the eyes and smiled. Yeah, I said. I'm just calculating. She laughed. Calculating what? I sipped my drink. Odds. Clara always had a talent for acting. I used to think it was cute. The way she could turn on charm like flipping a switch. She did it at dinner that Friday, sitting across from me, moaning over California rolls like she hadn't sold herself off to pay for Baccarat losses. I was thinking we should do something next weekend, she said, chewing delicately. Like that vineyard upstate? You've been working so hard. We could use the break. That word, we burned. I watched her reach for her wine glass with the same hand I used to hold during church. I used to pray with that hand wrapped in mine. Now it just made me want to snap something. You book it, I said. That night, when she fell asleep, I unlocked her laptop. Same password she's used since college, her middle name, and our wedding date. She'd gotten careless. Emails. Deleted bank alerts. Screenshots of Venmo transfers marked with cherries, dice, $signs. One guy sent her $3,000 and a message that said, for luck. Sweet thing. The worst part? She replied, you're my good luck charm. I'm wet just looking at this. I didn't throw the laptop. I didn't even flinch. Instead, I pulled up our Chase account and added up every ATM withdrawal, wire, and credit charge in the last 6 months. Poker rooms. Hotel lounges. Cash advances disguised as spa packages. $73,489. Gone. I checked her credit card. She'd maxed it. I checked mine. She'd opened 2 in my name. I stared at the numbers until my eyes blurred. Then I did the thing I knew I couldn't undo. I called the bank's fraud department. Laid out everything. Claimed the cards were opened without consent. Claimed Clara had stolen my identity. The guy on the line sounded bored. Do you have proof, sir? I paused. Then said, yeah, I have everything. They froze the accounts by morning. She found out when her Uber declined. The text came in at 11:17 a.m. sharp. Clara, my cards aren't working. Did you do something? I'm in the city and I'm stranded. This isn't funny. I didn't respond. She called. Twice. Left a voicemail on the third. Ethan, what the hell? I have brunch with Jess and Dana's guests. It's important. If you're pulling some kind of macho stunt, I swear to God. Click. An hour later, I got an alert that she tried using her Nordstrom card, declined again. By 4 p.m., she was home. Stormed in. Makeup smeared. Hair flat. Rage in her eyes. What did you do? I stayed seated at the kitchen island. Papers stacked beside me like a trial exhibit. You spin our future, I said. So I bought your past. She froze. I slid the folder across the granite. Receipts. Photos. Chat logs. The works. She didn't open it. She didn't have to. Ethan, I can explain. I stood up. Quiet. Cold. No, I said. You can listen. For once. She stared at the folder like it was ticking. I told you I had debts, Clara whispered. I told you the market tanked my investments. You didn't invest in stocks, I cut in. You invested in poker, escorts, and whatever Marcus Delroy's version of loyalty points are. That's not fair. I slammed the counter with my palm. Don't talk to me about fair. You opened cards in my name. Spent my retirement account on your games. You lied to my face every Thursday, kissed me with their money on your lips, and now you want fair. Her face tightened, but she didn't back down. It was never about them. I scoffed. No, it was about the high. The ego. The feeling of being worshipped by men who pay for flesh like they're buying steak. You don't understand. She snapped. You don't know what it feels like to wake up choking on debt, knowing you're too old to be rescued but too young to accept being stuck. I didn't cheat because I wanted to. I was drowning. I stepped closer. You weren't drowning, I said. You jumped in and dragged me with you. She turned away, wiping her eyes. I never thought it would get this bad. You thought you were clever. You thought I'd never figure it out. But guess what? I'm not the guy you married anymore. Silence. I slid a second envelope across the table. What's this? She asked, voice cracking. An itemized list of everything you owe me. And the lawyer's letter informing you that as of this morning, I filed for divorce and reported the credit fraud. Clara looked like she'd been slapped. You're throwing away our life? Just like that. Our life died the minute you climbed into someone else's bed for a buy-in. She started shaking her head. You won't get away with this. They'll come after you. You think Marcus and Leon are just poker buddies? They're connected. Good, I said, stepping back. Let them come. She paused. What does that mean? It means, I said, I already reported their Little Avalon operation to the IRS and to Marcus's board of directors. You brought them into my life. I just returned the favor. The air left her lungs. You ruined me. No, I said calmly. You did that all by yourself. I just made sure the bill came to the right address. 3 days later, the fallout began. It started with a call from her sponsor, Marcus Delroy. She took it in the garage, pacing in slippers and yesterday's eyeliner. I watched from the hallway, arms crossed, recording the entire thing. He what? She snapped into the phone. No, listen, I can fix this, okay? He's bluffing. He doesn't have anything real. She paused. Then her voice dropped. He sent what to the board? Silence. Then the phone slipped from her hand and clattered on the concrete. She dropped beside it, palms on her temples like she could physically squeeze the panic out. I stepped outside, slow. Heard something break, I said, tone cold. She looked up at me like a hunted animal. What did you do? I smiled. I simply made some calls. Copied some files. Turns out the Avalon Club's accounting system is sensitive. One flagged transaction to an unregistered LLC and a curious email to an out-of-state donor was all it took to trigger an audit. She looked like she might throw up. You sent an IRS audit to Marcus? I sent truth to Marcus's enemies. What happens next is his problem. She grabbed her head again. You don't understand who these people are. I do, I said, stepping forward. And they're no worse than you. She stood slowly, eyes wide. They'll kill me, Ethan. I shrugged. That's not my department anymore. That night, she didn't sleep, pacing the hallway, making calls that went unanswered. Her poker forum accounts vanished one by one. The Avalon chat app she used for her games was shut down by morning. I tipped off 2 reporters. They sniffed out the corruption faster than I expected. By noon the next day, her face was gone from the platinum tier page. By nightfall, she was locked out of the forums entirely. And by the end of the week, she got an email from Marcus. I only saw the subject line when she left her screen open during another panic scroll. You burned us both, she screamed, threw the laptop across the room. It shattered against the wall. I didn't even flinch. She turned to me, trembling. You're destroying me, she hissed. No, I said. I'm showing you what you really are, and how quickly your little world collapses without lies to prop it up. Where will I go? Not my problem. I'll be broke. Already are. I'll be alone. I leaned in close, voice like ice. Then maybe you'll finally learn the price of bluffing the wrong man. She moved into the guest room the next morning. No fight, no drama. Just dragged her suitcase down the hall like a woman already rehearsing her walk of shame. She didn't know half the locks were already changed. Her phone buzzed constantly. But it wasn't comfort. It was chaos. Calls from cut-off banks, lawyers, club admins. I saw her scroll past a message from someone named Leonard R., the same Leonard she once told me was just an old college friend. His message was simple. We're all getting burned. Don't contact me again. She closed the phone, trembling. Ethan, she said, knocking on my door later that day. Can we talk? No. She leaned against the frame, voice breaking. Please. I know you're hurt, but I need help. I didn't even look up. You need a lawyer. And maybe a new hobby. She stepped inside anyway, barefoot, shoulders curled forward like a child being scolded. It would have looked pitiful if I hadn't seen her bent over a poker table in that red dress, smiling like a goddess while draining my life. They've frozen my assets. Marcus shut down my payouts. I have nothing. You had nothing before. You just pawned what you borrowed. You're enjoying this. No. I'm surviving it. There's a difference. She paced, eyes darting like she was trying to calculate the safest lie. I can sign whatever you want, she offered. Prenup amendments, divorce papers. Just don't let them come after me. I finally stood, slow. You still don't get it, do you? She looked up, confused, hopeful. This isn't about money anymore, I said. It's about truth. You buried it under sex, lies, and credit lines you never intended to pay. And now? You're just another washed-up hustler trying to play saint when the chips run dry. I made mistakes. No, Clara. You made choices. I tossed a manila envelope on the table. Inside? A lease termination. Her club memberships. All canceled. Her health insurance? Shifted to individual. And on top, a check. $500. For what? She choked out. For a bus ticket, I said. Anywhere but here. Her hands shook as she flipped through the papers. You're throwing me out. No, I said, voice dead calm. I'm cashing you out. That night, she left. Didn't even say goodbye. Just vanished into the dark with her heels clicking like a metronome for a life she thought she'd outrun. I watched her from the porch, sipping whiskey from the glass she once bought for our anniversary. The one she said was too heavy for her delicate hands. I liked the wait. 2 weeks. That's how long it took for her to try crawling back. It started with a text from an unknown number. I'm sorry for everything. I lost sight of who I was, of who we were. I need help. I blocked it. She switched to email. I've checked into a recovery program. I'm working on myself. I know I hurt you, Ethan. But can't we talk? Just once. There was no program. Just an Airbnb and pity text she copied from Reddit self-help threads. I knew because I hired a PI. He sent me pictures, her with the same desperate look and cheap makeup, bouncing between low-tier poker rooms and rich old men's arms, like a falling star trying to pretend it was still mid-flare. But the kicker? She tried the local news. A week after that email, I watched a late-night segment, Community Fundraiser Scandal, Avalon Club Players Under Fire. They used a blurred-out photo of Clara laughing beside Marcus in a dress I now knew I'd paid for. They mentioned her name once. Unconfirmed local source. She was trying to rehab her image, reinvent herself as a manipulated participant. A poor woman dragged into a toxic gambling culture. A victim of male corruption. And I'll admit, she almost pulled it off. Almost. Until a manila envelope arrived at her news station. When I mailed anonymously. Inside? Bank records. Club chat logs. And photos. A full dossier on the truth of her victimhood. Complete with one last photo. Her, bent over a blackjack table, whispering into Marcus's ear with a hand down his lap. The station dropped the story by morning. Her attempt at redemption had burned out before it lit. And I watched it all unfold from my cabin in Silver Ridge. Quiet, serene, buried in pines. Bought it in cash the day after she left. No more shared spaces. No more joint accounts. Just me and the quiet. And for once, silence wasn't suffocating. It was earned. The PI called me later. She's trying to get into another club. Different name. Fake profile. Desperate. I thanked him. Paid him a little extra. Then I gave him one more job. Follow her, I said. And when she thinks she's found safety, ruin it. He paused. You sure? No, I said. But I'm done playing fair. Clara thought she was clever. She moved 3 towns over. Rented a studio under a different name, Claire Simmons. Took a job as a hostess at a country club known for old money and loose morals. Her hair was shorter, dyed darker, and she dropped 20 pounds trying to pass as someone new. But desperation doesn't mask stench. And lies don't stay buried in towns where bartenders and bankers gossip over the same bar stools. She'd found another mark. A 60-something with shaky hands, golf shoes, and a failing real estate empire. She was playing the long con, sweet, attentive, rebuilding after an abusive marriage. She'd nearly locked him in. Then he got a call. Blocked number. Male voice. Calm. Check her phone. Check the name Ethan Mallory. You'll find what she's hiding. The old man confronted her 2 days later during Sunday brunch. She screamed. He threw wine on her, called her a parasite. That same night, she received an email from an anonymous address. You can change your name, your hair, even your zip code, but you'll never outrun the debts. Or me. She knew it was me. She didn't even reply. Instead, she tried to go nuclear. She filed a civil harassment complaint. Claimed I was stalking her. That I'd hired people to follow her. The PI got a court summons. But I'd planned for that. I had logs. Statements. Her messages to me, begging for help. Recordings of her threatening to destroy me. All collected, all dated. When we walked into court, she was wearing fake tears and a too-tight blazer. When we walked out, her complaint was dismissed with prejudice. My PI filed a countersuit for defamation. She didn't show up for the next hearing. Because by then, she was homeless. The country club fired her. Marcus was gone, his bank accounts frozen and assets under investigation. Her credit? Obliterated. She sold her car. Her jewelry. Moved into a pay-by-week motel 2 counties over. I knew, because the PI sent a photo, her standing outside, chain-smoking, phone in one hand, eviction notice in the other. That's when I made my final move. A letter. Not from me, from an attorney. I'd filed a motion to nullify our marriage on grounds of fraud. She wouldn't get alimony. Wouldn't touch my pension. Not a dime. The motion included a copy of her credit card statements. 2 photos. One of her leaving the Avalon Club at 3:12 a.m. with Leon. Another? A still from a hotel security camera, Marcus, naked at the minibar, Clara behind him. She didn't contest the motion. It was approved in 6 days. Everything she tried to take from me? Stripped from her instead. And me? I slept better than I had in a year. 6 months passed. Not a word. Then, one afternoon, an email. Subject, please. Just talk to me. I didn't open it right away. I sat there, staring at the screen. Sipped my coffee. Watched a hawk circle the tree line outside the cabin window. Then I clicked. I know I don't deserve a response. I know what I did was unforgivable. But Ethan, I'm sick. I haven't been able to sleep. I think about what I lost every single day. You were my home, and I burned it down. Please, don't let that be the end. No threats. No lies. Just desperation. But I'd already buried her in my head. Clara didn't lose her home. She sold it. She didn't trip and fall. She stepped over the edge, eyes wide open, heels first. I didn't reply. She sent a second message a week later. Shorter. I still dream about you. I didn't reply to that either. 2 months later, I ran into someone at the post office in town. Older guy, balding, walked with a limp. He paused when he saw my name on the P.O. box. You, Ethan? I nodded. He smirked. You're that guy. The one who dropped the hammer on Clara Monroe. Used to be Clara Mallory, I said quietly. Yeah, well, he chuckled. She tells a different story now. Victim of a controlling husband. Said you ruined her life. I looked him dead in the eye. She's not wrong. But she left out the part where she deserved it. He laughed. Good for you. That was the last time anyone around here said her name to me. I moved again 2 weeks later. Different state. No forwarding address. I shut down the burner email, deleted the PI's number, and packed everything I cared about into a single truckload. One morning, I took a final walk to the river behind the property. Sun wasn't even up yet. I stood there, cold breath in the air, watching the current carve through the stones like time itself had claws. I pulled out her final letter, one she'd mailed after everything was finalized. No return address. Just her handwriting on the envelope. Inside? A picture. Our wedding day. On the back, written in faint blue ink. I wish I just loved you instead. I dropped it in the river. Watched the ink blur, the paper dissolve, and the last trace of her float downstream. That was the end. No forgiveness. No encore. Just me. Free. And alive again.